Welcome back, everybody. Still here at the Pennsylvania Interscholastic Esports Association State Championships, live from multiple different locations around Pennsylvania. We're crowning some champions here today, and it's time to switch some more titles and keep on going. Over to Overwatch. We are headed. Division 1 was one of our most stacked titles across undefeated teams throughout the regular season. Q, tell me about this first matchup.
Well, we've got Reach Cyber, who's their first time that we'll be seeing them on stream. And then CV South. We saw them in Marvel Rivals. We saw them as far as in Valorant. And now we see them here in Overwatch as well. CV South, unfortunately, has fallen short of being able to claim that title in those first two titles of the day. Will now look to try and raise their first state championship here in Overwatch. And it does look like we're going to be getting started here, Llama, on Nepal.
I'm excited. I mean, we get to start on this control point. I know we had some Marvel Rivals action earlier that went all 5 maps. I have a feeling these teams want to get their series done sooner rather than later. But at the same time, I can't help but enjoy the format and enjoy this great day that we've set up, not only for us to get to watch some great esports, but also for these kids to, get the chance to play on LAN. It's an unforgettable experience that they're, again, not going to forget for the rest of their life.
Yeah, and again, we talked about it earlier on the day, but the Mount really does deliver a different type of experience from what we've seen at some of our other live venues. A really big venue as far as the actual gaming arena itself. A nice little gathering spot upstairs, which I'm sure they've got the streams being shown. They've got that nice little communal area as far as for some foosball, some pinball, and maybe my favorite part, I thought they had the best options for food. Maybe that's just the fact that it's dinner time, and I'm thinking, man, I could definitely go for some of that right now. But yeah, CV South, they were a team that we had seen back in the fall, was looking to go for, I think it was conference championships, and every title got pretty darn close. They were looking to try and duplicate that success in the spring, and while they've seen quite a fair share of success, at the end of the day, you want to lift some hardware, and I think this is their last chance at it, at least at the D1 level.
It'd be interesting, too. I mean, all of the 3 teams we have left in this tournament bracket went into their conference championship, took a win, and also did so while being undefeated, except for Central Bucks, who only had a single loss in the regular season. So a combined 17 wins in the regular season across these 3 teams, set to be a good one for Reach Cyber. We'll get to see what they are made of as they get to face this cross-divisional opponent, and we get into our first bans. The Jetpack Cat, it's been too meta-inducing. No Bastion, no Metacat combo with that, and no Ramatra on the backside either.
Oh man, you mean we get no cat with the Bastion cheese? I've been enjoying seeing that all split long, but yeah, no Brigitte as well as far as moving forward with that third ban. What's going to be the last legend taken off of the board? And I say that doesn't surprise me too much. You know, the rules of Overwatch, or at least for your more aggressive tanks, if you want to win a ton, you have to pick Winston, and they're going to be taken off the board with that final ban.
No monkey there at the end, and now we've got our setup. It's Nepal is where we'll go to start things off. Of course, similar if you were watching the Marvel Rivals earlier, or if you weren't, you get to pick your map if you do lose the previous one. And with Overwatch, you get a wide variety of different selections, and it's kind of the similar thing where it's an evergreen mode selection. You have to kind of go through everything before you get back to those original ones. So actually losing gives you a very real advantage to play on your map selection.
We'll have to wait and see who indeed will be sending us off to our second map. Yeah, you get the advantage of picking the map, but you are in that point going to be playing from behind in the overall series score. Nepal's been a fun one to watch over the course of the semester, of course, with that control map selection. It allows you to really get the gunnies warmed up. I know for Reach Cyber, we had mentioned their first time out on the field, and there is one name out on the field over here for Central Bucks South that should be ringing familiar for our people that have been sitting on here on the mainstream. It will be Arti showing up for a third title here for Central Bucks South.
I mean, Arti is so skilled in kind of everything they do. Was the runner-up state championship already for Valorant, and now finds a way into the top 3 here for Overwatch. So excited to see how they play. It is going to be Reach Cyber Charter to find themselves the first touch, and this composition is just built for the dive. You have the Diva, but you also have Chef Robbie on this Reaper that can play the 1v1 against Arti, and with that first touch and without the Quickster here to fight, Central Buck South backs off.
Like we've seen the Quickster doing a pretty good job in the course of the spring. That's done a pretty good job leading the charge from the front. The Zarya, I feel like for a lot of teams, tends to throw a little bit of a wrench into the mix, but playing the Zarya into the Diva could definitely be an interesting dynamic. Here's Arti looking for a dive into the back line, gets caught out, and will have to duck back with the rest of their squad just in the nick of time.
Target selection has been good. They know if the Quickster dies first, they have a large chunk of their damage missing. The Reach Cyber already up to 40%. Armin is going to be dropping down to 1/4 their HP bar as Mega has that ultimate available, but nobody is dead. Everybody's just face-checking each other, staying alive. This is the patience of 2 very good teams, but Armin's gonna slide in, take down Arti, and Mega's ready to go with his overclock, taking down the back line. It's a double kill, and it is just Sojourn's day as Central Buck South clean them up.
Clean up as far as for Central Bucks South here to... Or clean up from Reach Cyber, I should say, onto Central Buck South as they're continuing to climb as they are up past that 70% marker. So the Titans really only going to get one more crack at it, at least when it comes to this first sub-map, looking to apply a little bit of extra pressure, but it is Chef Robbie that's tucked inside of this corner and could be looking for the jump surprise on the first player that steps through, but it will be the Quickster, and they're not going to be able to take him down.
Exuding Rush is there in the back line, too, for Connor Zombie to amp up some of that attack speed. It's going to be the Tac Visor. No! Brayden dies from a railgun shot before they get that activated. They spent Frenchette's ultimate, and Armin is going to pop the Diva Bomb. Overtime is going to be done and dusted. Quickster's going to try and grab it on them, but the extra life from the sound barrier of Loch Nessie is enough for the 100-0 on submap number 1 for the Rockets.
That is impressive to be able to come out here and control the pace in such dominant fashion as far as for sub map number 1. And for Reach Cyber, surely gotta be feeling great with the way that their map just started. But it is still a race to make sure that you can pick up 2 of those sub maps. You can't just be happy with the 1.
Close out the map as a whole, and that's going to be a trend throughout this entire series and the entire time we're talking about Overwatch. A lot of the modes have these comeback mechanics to get you right back into the swing of things, and right now for Reach Cyber, they want to deny that chance of the comeback. For Central Buck South, they thought the Zarya was a little bit too much in terms of that frontline notice. It's going to be the Sigma instead.
It's my dad. Can't say you don't see the family resemblance from the side profile. Don't see too much of the Sigma out on the front line these days, but I do feel like it is a frontline character that still has a pretty good kit for those who do know how to use it, especially for teams who can follow up off of the back of that stun from the Rock to be able to take out players potentially in that back line. When it comes to this opening pick, we have yet to be able to see it here as far as in this second sub-map. Brayden's gotten relatively close, but the supports from Central Buck South have been doing a great job of keeping them standing.
I mean, Arti as well, we already said, was one of the best Valorant players on that previous series we just got to watch, but also just a really good first blood kill here on Armin. That opens things up, takes down the tank, and with no real protection, no real diver to separate out the backline, Central Buck South is just able to free fire. Now, building up the percentage is going to be a different story, and how quickly I think that they can get this Brayden ultimate online is going to be decided of how long they stay on top.
They can continue to pile up their percentages. They're now past that 30. Mega trying to pop onto the other side of point and send some shots across the way. Brayden's going to be able to at least find one. Mega now getting followed up here as well, and it feels like Central Buck South has started to turn the corner a bit.
They really just built this damage composition that is not going for the close range Reaper. They are going for Sojourn and Soldier. The double combination of straight up combination damage. And with that Quickster frontline, they can just play front to back, focus down the Diva, and then make sure you target the DPS next. Reach Cyber's got to find an answer here soon.
As he won the first sub map, so you will have the ability to go to a third if you drop this one, but you really want to find at least some way to clean things up, because those first couple of team fights looked really good over on that Reach Cyber side of the server. Hasn't quite been the case since switching the composition on the CB South side.
They've just been in full control, and that's especially because of Arti. The ultimate is going to expire as Kitsune Rush comes flying through from Connor Zombie. It's going to be that attack virus, though. Brayden finds a way to survive, and that alone may just be enough. The melody's going to change from the Quickster as Mega finds themselves a double kill. Oh, Mega is just frying the triple, and the team kill on top.
That's huge. Just as CB South looks to punch across the finish line. No. It's the Dikembe Mutombo finger wag here from Reach Cyber as they will take control. They will have to hold this thing the distance, however, if they don't want to go to a third sub map.
You gotta hold all that percentage, and you have the 2 ultimates to do so. Central Bucks invested 4 ultimates in that last fight to try and take the fight. Instead, Armin, especially on this point of Nepal, is so good at just being able to send in the Diva Bomb, send in the Lurks, and then fire it off. It's going to be a Death Blossom actually that starts things out from Chef Robbie. Double kill. Everything in the front line is dead. It's a full team wipe.
It's going to buy them more time. That'll get them past the 50, maybe even the 60% mark before Central Bucks South is even within, vision's range of that point itself. And I guess one point that I wanted to pitch your direction here, I feel like for CB South, Arti is generally a player that finds some big openings for the Titans on Overwatch. Is there a chance that a little bit of fatigue starting to kick in here?
I mean, don't get me wrong. We've been at this 10 hours. I would assume the same around the time for Arti. And yes, players are human. They do eventually get tired. And for Arti, that gas tank will eventually expire. You wonder how many slips of the keyboard can go. It's just a C9. Okay, Central Bucks South holds them off. We're going to a sub-map 3.
Hey, you know what? Mistakes happen, but how costly of a mistake will that end up being for Reach Cyber once everything is all said and done? I mean, giving away that second point essentially for free while you still have people left standing is a very costly mistake, especially in a situation like this. This is the semifinals. After all, there's only a chance for one of these two teams to get that chance to compete for a championship.
I also think for Reach Cyber has been phenomenal over the course of the last couple years we've watched them in Overwatch, but they've struggled in playoffs specifically. I know last year was a kind of interesting scenario where they had to face a South Fayette crew who nobody was able to beat at the end of the day, but you're talking about a team that hasn't been able to lift that state title trophy, and I think that is the thing that they've been searching for so many seasons. Central Bucks South holding some momentum could be the first one to put a notch in the bedpost.
Definitely interesting. Both teams feeling that pressure of having, getting so close, but still falling short. You mentioned the history of Reach Cyber, but for the, recent past from Central Bucks South as far as for today, especially wondering if that's sitting in the back of the mind of that young man, Arti, who is now looking to try and compete and pick up their first championship title of the 3 that they've played in here today. The Quickster doing a good job of pushing up towards this next door as they've already got control of this point. Not sure if they realize they've got a little friend tucked in on the other side, as it's going to be RC who's going to look to jump on them right as they turn the corner.
Oh, Chef Robbie just gets a burst of damage there, and Reach Cyber, again, flawless through their spring semester. They have yet to drop a series, and that's what they're trying to lead off with here in the semifinals. But right now, Central Bucks South, controlling everything. The Rockets connect on a Connor Zombie, losing one half of that supportive duo. Arti's caught out, though. All of a sudden, a trade for trade. It's more damage on the Reach Cyber side, but Brayden is doing a really good job of building up that ultimate.
Trying to get at least a touch, not going to be enough, and now it's going to be Reach Cyber who will take control of this point. CB South just a little shy of that 50% marks means that even if they get control once more, it will be Reach Cyber who should get at least an additional crack at it. But they're going to see just how far they can push this percentage here for now.
Feels like for Central Buck South, too, the composition change. We go back to that in submap number 2, bringing out the Sigma, playing the front to back. And by the way, here comes Sigma with the ultimate. The Quickster has trapped them with those bouncing balls, and Mega tries to escape here. But all of a sudden, Armin goes in with the bomb. It's 2 very split fights, but Brayden handles their own, takes down the tank, and Arti's got that Sojourn grenade. It's all history after that. CB South regains the point.
They're cooking. They're going to be able to get it pretty well. A team wipe, 60% already. Here is Central Buck South, and that does mean Reach Cyber only going to get one more chance at it. Because of that and the fact that you had already used your ultimate on your tank, Armin going to be able to switch over to the Arista, going to look to take their horse down the Old Town Road.
This is one of the sub-maps to do it, especially with those crevices located directly off the main point. CB South is already up to 80% though. Brayden has got this tack visor, and Armin does not survive. Omega's got the kill in the backline though. Frenchette, no Kitsune rush here at the end of the fight. 4v4, straight up, and it's an orbital laser from above. The Kitsune rush will not do enough from Connor Zombie, and Arti and Brayden are going insane. The overtime fuse is lit, and sure, Armin is gonna get the slap to the hamster ball, but where are they all going? To the death realm. Arti double kills, and Armin will try and survive, but they are sequestered away, and Central Buck South should secure this map 1.
Nice job to be able to take that one. That overtime wick will dwindle down, and they had to fight for it, but they are going to be able to come out on top. It's back-to-back sub-maps as CB South takes map number 1.
The adaptation from this team. Arti is going to earn themselves. It's actually Mega, excuse me, at the Sojourn play of the game. It's back in that submap number 1 with this incredible, not even ultimate. It ends up being a triple kill, I believe. Gets the assist on that second one. The nade into the takedown. It's just only 2 kills. I guess that's our play of the game for it. But Reach Cyber Charter, well matched, you can see from Sojourn to Sojourn. But the adaptations and Central Buck South, their composition was so much better suited for that second and third point, and they knew it.
Able to come out on top, but you did mention, Llama, that dropping a map does give you a small tactical advantage, just in the sense that you do get to pick where we head off to for map number 2. So surely the Reach Cyber students will get their heads together and try and figure out where they opt to choose from there. One thing to keep in mind, we switched things up as far as for the playoffs. Technically, Flashpoint and Push put together into one playlist. So if you pick one, you cannot pick the other until you've depleted the 4 playlists in their entirety.
Which is actually pretty interesting because, again, very, very different modes. And I feel like we're playing one or the other in terms of that very early in the series, because it is that kind of change-up mode where you get the control guaranteed. You have 2 payload mode types in the overall map pool, but then you have this sort of change-up, whether you want to go to Flashpoint, whether you want to go to Push. But this is kind of not a moment I would say to go there. I know a lot of our teams have been liking to go to Flashpoint, but I think if you're Reach Cyber Charter, the fights have been too quick for you. I don't want to go to something like a Flashpoint. I want to go to something like a payload mode to give us more time to develop our team fight.
I do have to agree on that, right? I mean, well, yeah, I think first inclination would go, well, you've been able to pick up some points. Maybe if those flash points go a little bit quicker, maybe you actually come out on top of the map in map number 1. But that slippery slope of already losing a first map and then a flashpoint going by, well, in a lack of better terms, in a flash, all of a sudden you could be having yourself with 1 foot out the back door, and then you're really stuck with a tough decision between hybrid and escort. So I feel like you probably want to pick between one of those 2 first. And if there is anything that we have learned throughout the course of not just this semester, not just this school year, but just over the course of time in PIEA, when Midtown's available, there's a good chance we're going there.
Oh, it's been a classic for us throughout the entire season. And, That's some of the differences from some of our different titles. I know for Valorant and Arti can experience that as well. They played kind of a set map pool going through the regular season, not for Overwatch. We've been kind of implementing this new ban system, which I've loved to see the adaptations. That's another thing for Reach Cyber. They can change up their bans, and as much as that Jetpack Cat and Bastion combination is pretty crazy, some part of me wants to see it go on through so we can see it once more.
Yeah, and did we figure out, are we doing evergreen bans in Overwatch? I know we thought we were, and then we saw schools picking the same bans for multiple maps. So I guess we'll have to wait and see what the bans are as they do come across. But yeah, it should be intriguing to see how things break down moving forward. We expect things to be that knockout, drag them out sort of battle between these two teams. We even saw that over the course of those 3 submaps for Control. But CB South, we had mentioned earlier when teams were playing in those semifinals, it's going to be a similar spot for them here. You're going to try and get things done as quick as possible.
And I would say as well, for Reach Cyber, this is where things have to turn around. We talked about pivotal points in a series like this next map all throughout the day today, but this is such a big one because you could go to a 1-1 tie. If it's your map pick especially, you could bring the series right back to a halt. Sure, you give Central Buck South the choice of what map to go. The map score is more important than that. If you lose, it's a reverse sweep. And sure, you'll get to choose one more map of where to go. You've got to find so much, and it gives so much time to adapt for Reach Cyber on the other side. Or excuse me, for Central Buck South on the other side. And Central Buck South, as we've clearly seen, they're a school that develops and generates very, very good esports teams, and they're looking good right now with the lead.
Yeah, I think what's been really impressive about this CB South program is generally we'll see teams, like if they're dominant, it's like, oh, we dominate like D1, D2, and D3 Valorant, thinking of like Lower Moreland in the past, right? Or, oh, we control, we're a team that usually is able to send quite a few teams over in Overwatch, thinking of some of our other teams in the past, like Spring Grove had done that a couple of years ago, right? But for CB South to be able to have the level of dominance across all of their titles is quite impressive. We did talk about the potential of going to Midtown. It does look like, at least for now, that's going to be put on hold, and probably not just for hold. We're not going to see it because we're going to go off to Paraiso instead.
This is a map that I can say we haven't seen all season long, but it's a super fun one. You get these delicate long corridors with the dichotomy of the high second ground flow, and it allows for some really good battles, especially for long range DPSs. And it feels like those two teams that we've seen before definitely know and love their long range DPSs. And I think for this Reach Cyber squad, you can't be too vexated from that overall first map. You have to be able to move the issue back to the second one, refocus, and find your ways to enter in, because if you drop 2 in a row, reverse sweep is not going to feel so nice.
Reverse sweep, definitely not going to be feeling very nice. Yeah, it's been a long day. But for them, you take it as far as fight by fight. I mean, there were a couple of those fights in submap, especially 2, where you looked at it where, I mean, one player falls a little bit sooner over on that CB South side, and we could very well be talking about Reach Cyber being the team that is up 1-0. So I feel like, about best case scenario in a loss as far as on that first map of Control, they're far from out of it here.
And I think that it was also a good note that they were able to fight back pretty well on that submap number 2. It was just a slight error, not able to get a player on point, which I know always feels super bad, and it always feels like it's just a mental reset to be able to go back into it. So I'm excited to see what they bring out in the bans, because I do think that Sigma actually provided them a lot of problems going into that front to back, being able to give some more space to those DPS sharpshooters and give them the protection with that shield to just work it straight up.
In mind as far as what's on the line for these two teams here, Llama. We've been seeing some semifinal matchups. This is one of those that's playing out here between Reach Cyber and Central Bucks South. Who's lying in wait has been a team that has been pretty dominant in their own right, as it is Penn Manor, and it is their A team. And I think the big thing to keep in mind for this Penn Manor squad is a team that ended up falling just a bit shy at that state championship level last year, surely going to have that struggling in the back of their mind. They're going to want to be able to hoist a trophy at the end of the night today.
Well, I think that'd be such a fun story, whoever gets to go to play them. And, you know, again, that South Fayette team is a once-in-a-lifetime team. We will probably never see another team like that. They didn't even play in the fall semester of last year. They join up as lacrosse buddies. They go on to perform super well at the lacrosse state championships and then go on to win an Overwatch championship on their lonesome. And then 4 of them graduate and the team disappears into thin air. So unless there's a Cinderella story like that, it feels like some of the big dogs are finally ready to earn their keep, and especially the Comets are one of those teams that have been so close, especially last year, that they won Avengement for.
Yeah, I was trying to think. I want to say last year they were going for was last year the three-peat? I think so. They were going for. And so now going to get a chance to at least get a shot at redemption back to it this year. But let's go ahead and head on into map number 2. We've got some bands to get down to, so let's go ahead and see who is going to be taken off of the board first. I believe it was 2 supports and 2 tanks as far as map number 1. Reach Cyber will be in charge as far as for our first band, and it looks like they'll be taking Sigma off the board.
Felt a bit of an umbrage from that duel against Sigma in that last one and decide to take it off the board. No frontline tank, and we'll see if Central Buck South try to go into something else front to back, maybe something like the Reinhardt. Either way, they want to take the Baptiste off the board. So no extra damage. Don't want Reach Cyber to help boost their composition on that back line, and they actually get back-to-back bans. That's one of the powerful things about kind of banning second. You get to go back-to-back, so Central Buck South will go again, and they'll take the Winston off the board.
Still no Winston, not wanting to see the dive into the back line. And I'm kind of curious if that's partially due to the fact that Reach Cyber prefers to be a brawly style sort of composition. And the reason that I bring that up, I feel like we have seen this Central Bucks South squad in the past play a little aggressive when they've brought out the Junker Queen. And you wonder if maybe that's something that could be disruptive to a team that prefers to be a more brawly style.
And I think as well, it'll be interesting for both teams because with the Sojourn off the board, Sojourn is by far and away the best DPS right now. You have the nade, you have the long-range railgun shots, you have the ability to pump out consistent damage. There's just nobody that does it better. So both teams are going to have to find something to fill that hole. And obviously, I think for Central Buck South, they probably stick with the Soldier. It worked fine for them, but what they fill with that second DPS, I think is going to be most interesting to me.
Have to wait and see what their compositions end up lining up and being. I hear some sound in the background, and yeah, there it is. Already got 10 players out on the server. I do believe we have our teams switched up at the top of the screen, if I am not mistaken. Yeah, Arti's over on the left side. So yeah, it will be Central Buck South that will be starting over on the blue side of the server as we get ready to get down into it.
That means they chose defense, which I think is smart and regular for most of our teams. We'll see what Reach Cyber does with their attacking side. Lots of differences coming through here. The Emery is going to be the most interesting one. Emery and Onrun, the new DPS combination duo. It's still pretty divey, but they have to deal with not only the Quickster and these very aggravating barriers. I think they're going to swap out the D.Va relatively quickly, but also they've got Arti and Braden on more sharpshooters.
A dangerous duo when you look at their composition, but Braden gets absolutely deleted. Reach Cyber still has 5 players who are standing on their feet for now. Chef Robbie is going to be able to take IHOP pancakes, and that does mean that should give Reach Cyber the green light to completely push down from their position and look to try and unlock things here.
And we said Sojourn is good, but this Emery is just so good on the damage facilitation throughout the day, and it is now an entry from Mega, a full payload unlock on the Futuristic. And we didn't talk about this DPS and tank change for Central Buck South. They're swapping over to the Domino, which brings the array of barricades, can be used in multiple different fights and facets, but the one thing it is bad against is just getting shoved into a corner and not getting a chance to fight.
be honest, I haven't really gotten to catch out too much Domina gameplay, so excited to see what the Quickster is bringing to the table as far as that's concerned. I might be able to find a pick here, as it will be Connor Zombie down to, oh, that's just a sliver of HP, but they find themselves some safety and tuck their way away.
Photon Magnum does deal a lot of damage, but you have to be careful about that backline loss. Again, Reach Cyber is not playing a composition where they really care about your tank. They can just dive straight on over it. And by the way, they've already gotten over halfway to that next setup. Good little crystal charge there from the Quickster to take one down, but the rest of the team is dead. They don't care about the tank. Friend Chet is left to heal the Quickster, as the Quickster only left to die.
Reach Cyber has already been able to find so much progress towards this first checkpoint, and looks like could very well be unlocking more time right around that 4-minute mark, which means they will have ample time to come down the back half as far as the home stretch here. So I don't think as far as Central Bucks South, they're in any sort of hurry to push for. You don't want to overextend and stagger out any sort of additional sort of progress, but it will be 5.5 minutes as this payload does make the turn.
That's a heck ton of time. Connor Zombie lose their life. It's an anti on Mega, and IHOP Pancakes is able to get the snipe on Chef Robbie. This composition is all built around the triple snipe. The problem is they just have no protection, and the Quickster trying to use that barrier array to keep them alive, but they just weren't able to get a grasp on that first checkpoint hold. Now they've got 5 minutes to try and hold it here with 4 ultimates on the other side to boot.
Make that 5 as Braden just gets, 5 up for Central Bucks South. Loch Nessie will make it 5 on the Reach Cyber side here in just a matter of time. It's going to be all about who's going to be able to find more impact off of the back of those ultimates. Armin will be able to push towards the high ground, find themselves a little bit of safety as that healing does come through, and get themselves at least a little bit closer back to that full health. But the pressure from Central Bucks South has been relatively strong.
Yeah, it was a good ultimate from IHOP Pancakes to counter Connor Zombie, be able to get that nano on their tank and pump out some damage, but this is a double ultimate. Override Protocol coming in from those heavy round launching shots. It's a double ultimate the other way. Mega's gonna find the first kill, but the problem is there is Bob. Bob is activated. That's an extra tank and health bar and extra damage flying your way. Chef Robbie survives on just a minuscule amount of HP, and Reach Cyber win the fight, but they don't have spawn advantage, so they gotta be careful.
Those sitting relatively low will eventually get their heal, as will Chef Robbie. And you mentioned as far as waiting for the rest of their respawns here, and should be able to stay alive at least for now. And you can already see more than halfway there down this second leg, and it just feels like Reach Cyber has really started to turn the corner in these team fights.
Well, they've got 2 ultimates to be the game changer as well. I mean, Friend Chet's Kitsune Rush will have to be perfect. Arti, that's a nice name. At least takes down Loch Nessie, so no sound barrier, at least at the start of this fight. But Loch Nessie is a fast one on the Lucio. Could get back quick, and that ultimate could be the game-changing health that they need to win it. And Reach Cyber in no rush. They've got 3 minutes to try and finish this one out.
I always worry, though, when you have so much time, that little bit of like security can allow you to unconsciously let your foot up off the gas. It's like, if we don't win this fight, it's fine. We can regroup the way that we have already here and push it across. And I think when you expect this to be such a tightly contested matchup, there is a very good chance it goes off to overtime. So that time that's left on the board could be what makes the difference here. Mega has already fallen arm and sitting at about half health and might have pushed just a little too far forward. Is going to lose their mech form. We'll be sent back to respawn here as well.
Just a lot of damage, and once again going for the nano over on the Quickster. Bolster that with the Kitsune Rush. That is a Photon Magnum that I do not want to face. It also helped out Arti to fight from the high ground, and one of the big things is now Reach Cyber lost the payload. It's very far forward. They just have to face check this.
Now 2 minutes. Do you have what it takes to be able to push this thing across the line if you're Reach Cyber? Because the last thing that you want to have to do is leave it up to your defense to have to make sure that there's not a full push. And now Quickster doing a great job of being able to output some damage here. Braden's already fallen, however, and that might be the turn that Reach Cyber was looking for.
It's just 3 meters, but it is the longest 3 meters of their life here from Reach Cyber. Arti finds a really good override protocol, but Chef Robbie is fanning the flames, ready to go with the ultimate if necessary, and Armin's double kill will force them off the point. The Quickster will survive for as long as they can, but that's a successful attack from Reach Cyber.
Big two, you still have over a minute left as well, so even if Central Bucks South pushes this thing the full distance, you're either given the same amount of time because Central Bucks South has under a minute, or you're given a little bit of extra because you're both over that. So at least you've gotten the first part done. You've completed the full push. Now it's going to be up to Reach Cyber to rely on their defense.
This is one of those maps, though, that as we've seen, it's a quick map. To be very real, it has those very long corridors, and if you're on the defensive side and lose even a single fight on that first checkpoint, it just feels like you give them so much time to try and close things out. So as you said, I would not be surprised at all if we go to overtime, and the amount of time you carry into overtime actually matters a lot to aid into getting that victory on the map in its own.
Countdown of 30 seconds here. Last little bit for Central Bucks South to be able to let calmer heads prevail after the defense was unable to hold the line. See if they can put things together to be able to find a full push to their name as well. For Reach Cyber, we know that they do not want to have to rely on the reverse sweep to be able to find themselves a trophy to pick up their first here in PIEA. This map number 2 is huge.
The question, though, is for Central Bucks South, now with this Emery match, is Arti able to outclass Mega, move themselves on a successful attacking side, and win this thing in overtime? It's a lot of questions, and as a reminder, Central Bucks South, they chose defense on this side, so they know that now on the attacking side, they know how far they have to go. But Reach Cyber set the tone. They've got a match in it. It's a great early match because Armin is already very low. Their Rockets take down 1, but it's a 4v4 in favor of Central Bucks South.
Jeff Roby falls, Loch Nessie gonna fall next, and that should give the opening for, well, I was gonna say for CB South to wrap up this fight, but it's Arti and Braden both fall. Not much damage output to go alongside the Quickster. That does mean Reach Cyber will eventually come out on top in that first team fight. And Central Bucks South not even able to get that first third of progress towards unlocking the cart.
That was a crazy anti-nade. Double kill from an anti-nade from Connor Zombie to close out the fight. And we're back to it. Mega gets naded away, getting the refresh on their own ability and waiting for that second charge to come up. We'll throw the first one already caught out in the open, but no kill is dropped. The one problem for the Titans, they are burning a ton of time just to try and get on this point. We said it, one fight is usually all it takes, but Braden has got out. The Ash has no mobility and fanning the flames of destruction. Arti will be the first to fall, and Central Bucks South has to regroup.
See if they can at least keep the other 4 players still standing, because if you fall any of those 4, the stagger does start, and things could get a little dicey, especially as they are still looking to try and secure their first third when it comes to unlocking this point. Remember Reach Cyber, they were stalled for a moment, but only for a moment. They were eventually able to get that cart unlocked and able to get up towards 5 minutes as they got past that first checkpoint. So CB South far behind that benchmarker.
Well, a triple kill there from Mega off the nanoed override protocol. It just feels unfair with the damage you're allowed to do from that. You said it, just a moment is what Reach Cyber had to wait. Central Bucks South, it is far more than that. They're getting their ultimates very soon, but this fight has to be successful or you might just have the map wrapped up and Reach Cyber equalizing the series. You wonder for Braden when this bomb is going to come out, especially with those ultimates coming up at the back end. You have the nano, but Braden is dead.
Braden is down, and I guess maybe waiting to try and pop it when you've got the other 4, maybe, but then how much time is going to be left for you to be able to find the full push? Arti now has their ult available. The Quickster will complete the full 5 stack of those ultimates here. Armin, however, popped theirs and has already been able to find a little bit of extra value on that.
Kitsune Rush goes to the garbage bin here. As Central Buck South, they are just getting stunted out, but it's good from the Bob. Braden, Quickster finding themselves too. It is under a minute to go. You have to kill this squirmy little diva that is trying to escape to the backside railing. Get it in baby form, and then get the full kill. Get the stunt out here in the tank as well. Finally, they will get the closeout. Central Buck South, they got their fight they wanted.
How much time has dwindled away, though? Hasn't been too much. Because, yeah, you unlock the cart, but you're already down to just 3 minutes. And remember, keeping in mind where Reach Cyber was able to keep their timer at as they crossed that finish line at the end, Central Buck South in a tough spot already.
They unlocked the payload, though, at the very least. That is what we have to see. It is Reach Cyber who might lose this fight, though, off of Mega's first death. Armin doesn't have any space to really sit on here, and Arti is just going to be able to go in. A possible override protocol to absolutely blister everything open. 3 ultimates, though, from the Rockets to try and shut everything down.
Got some momentum. You can see closing in on that first checkpoint. Already halfway there and living on more than a prayer, but it is Armin off of the high ground here with the diva, looking to play aggressive. Arti, however, meets back with a little bit of extra resistance here. That extra power that they've been able, or that little bit of extra damage that they've been able to push back with, continues to buy space, but eventually Arti will fall.
Good fight. Good fight again. And that's what it's going to take. One after another here to try and slow them down. It is already over halfway towards that next checkpoint here from Central Buck South. But as a reminder, even if they want overtime, they've got to push this payload all the way to the end. The sharpshooter composition just not finding its footing as Central Buck South is running out of time.
Don't have much left. 80 seconds. It's all they have, and they haven't been able to regather, establish control, I should say, on the point itself. Jeff Roby looks to play aggressive, can't quite find the pick there. As it will be the diva Armin who will be able to push into the high ground but gets slept.
Slow down, hold it out. It's Armin who will find themselves a kill to the back line with Arti dying as well. Oh, the front line is destroyed. Reach Cyber continues to hold them out, gatekeeping them away from a good look. And this is what you call a good map selection. You know how to play it. Nobody else has played it the entire season long. And one more successful fight will close it for the Rockets.
3 seconds left. Got RC, got Armin. Does have that ult lying in their back pocket here. Could that be what ends up spelling the end to this map number 2? And evening up the series. Mega takes to the sky, will push through the window, and we'll be able to find not only Braden, but IHOP Pancakes as well, and that could be enough to wind things down.
Unfair damage is all I can say. Armin is the one that steals away all the kills, but it is Reach Cyber Charter who steal away map number 2, forcing the issue into a tied series. An insane performance on the attacking side to set the tone, but even better on the defense, and it's none other than Mega with the play of the game.
What a great job by them to be able to come out on top, but it was with the Emery. Mega just takes to the sky, and what is that? Finding 2 plus a couple of assists there. Let's make it 3 to pick up the last. And we had said how the last thing that this Reach Cyber squad was going to want to do at the end of map number 2 was look down the barrel of the reverse sweep. They've essentially turned this best of 5 into a best of 3.
You look here at the scoreboard at the end. Armin only had 3 deaths that entire map. Just incredible to protect the rest of the team. And you look at somebody like Mega that did earn that most valuable player, the setup on 36 eliminations, but also the healing from Mega, getting the self-look and the teammate setup. It was enough to get the map victory. Now we are all even Steven. I will say, though, for Reach Cyber, I don't think that one is flying under the radar for what little remains of the rest of the season. I think if they go to the grand finals, the other team is going to be waiting for it. For Central Buck South, they get the advantage now. We're all tied up. They get to choose where we get to go next.
Well, now goes to beg the question, with as strong as they did look on Control, at least in the back half of Control, you maybe consider Flashpoint, because it feels like that'd be a quick way to put yourself back ahead in this series, and then would kind of force the hand when it comes to that last map choice as far as going off to Escort.
I think Flashpoint would be good. I think not only in Flashpoint do you not have a payload, obviously, to worry about and strangling away possibly one of your supports to keep that payload going, but also a moving payload versus fighting inside of a single cabin, so to say, is so much better for something like a Sigma, something like a front-to-back team fight. So if they want to go for that front-to-back team fight, maybe bring back the Zarya bubble, they have the chance to go there. But I guess let's find out.
Havana is going to be where we're off to here for map number 3, and that does mean that's an escort map, so no Flashpoint or push. That will be saved for map number 4. So I wonder, as far as for CB South, what's the game plan here? I feel like generally when we go to Escort, Rialto is usually tends to be the top pick. I would actually say of the 3 Escort maps, Havana's probably the one that we see the least.
It's definitely been rare, I would so to say. This series has been fun. We've been having to see a lot of maps we haven't gotten to see throughout the regular season, which also means not a surprise for any of these players because they're long tenured. They know how to play on it. Just maybe you forget in the back of your mind, oh, there's an angle there. Oh, there's a back room over there that somebody could be hiding in. That could be the real difference maker here today. And once again, we talk about the importance of every single map. This map now feels like one of the most important in the series. You win this one, you give yourself 2 chances to close things out. You lose it, I still think you're in an interesting scenario where you guaranteed get to pick either Flashpoint or push. You get to pick your poison. One of the 2 is probably better for one of the 2 of these teams, whichever loses this third map.
Yeah, I feel like with the way at least Control and Hybrid worked out, you figure Flashpoint probably favoring CB South a little bit, whereas Push maybe favoring Reach Cyber just a smidge. I do still genuinely feel that as far as for Push, it's just the better fighting team, right? Because at some point you can turn the tides and carry that momentum, even if you're all the way back on your goal line, and push it the distance, which is probably the reason that I love Push the most. Unfortunately, we just don't see it that often. But you did mention there is one thing that's guaranteed as we get ready to take to the map here for map number 3. One of these 2 squads is going to push themselves onto that map point, be able to put themselves 1 map away from punching their ticket to the grand finals. Ain't no more time to talk about it. Let's just go ahead and be about it and take to the server here for map 4. Map 3, not 4. I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yeah, map 3, chance to go up here in the series and possibly control the end outcome in map 5 if it goes to that. Let's hop into the ban setup. It's going to be this time Reach Cyber with their first ban. They will get bans number 1 and 4. CB South will get 2 and 3.
Ramacha, first one off of the board. We had seen that tank taken relatively quickly in map number 1, so that is another one of those bans that we have seen revisited here. As far as for map number 3, CB South will get those back-to-back bans, and Diva off the board next.
I think that's a huge one. Tiva's been a part of this Reach Cyber team composition. Other than when they were losing at the last moment and swapped to the hamster ball, it has been what has provided them so much dive control. The Baptiste is kind of interesting. It's something we haven't really seen all throughout the day from Reach Cyber. But again, these teams have been studying footage from each other and probably know each other better than we know them at this point. But I would have loved to see an Emery ban, but I also think that Central Buck South got some use out of it. Sojourn going to be the final one taken off the board. Good bans through and through.
Say overall, pretty solid ban list here. Does mean now our teams know exactly who they can make their compositions with as we do get ready to head towards Havana. Again, keeping in mind, if maybe you haven't been able to catch any of our playoffs action over here for PIEA, during the regular season, it's best of 3s, first to 2. Here, as far as our state playoffs, it's first to 3 or best of 5. So this next map doesn't decide things, but it will put one of these two teams one map away.
I will say the one thing we haven't seen all throughout the regular season that I would love to see is a tie. Give me an extra map at the end. Give us the 000s either way. You can only do it on the payload modes, and this would probably be one of the last times we would get to see it. For each Cyber, the initial looks for them is kind of a complete change around. Instead of banning away the Sigma, this time they're gonna go for the Sigma match between them and the Quickster.
Sigma actually on either side of the server here, so we'll be seeing how these two teams are able to support the Sigma and who's going to be able to do the better job of it. It will be Central Bucks South who will be starting on that attacking side. Let's see what sort of finish line they can set for their defense.
Getting to pick is a very powerful position to be in. I'd also like to say Chef Robbie did a really good job on the on-run all throughout that last map. I'm excited to see how this DPS composition works together once again. You've got power in the nades, you've got power in the snipes. Arti and Mega, though, kind of working against each other, trying to go for this 1-for-1. Very similar compositions. Whoever gets their nano first is going to have a lot of power.
Chef Robbie will be the first to fall, which means Central Bucks South should feel comfortable as far as pushing forward just a little bit. However, the tank's still left standing. You still have both supports as well, and you can't push full aggressive just quite yet.
I will say from Central Bucks South, this is one of the hardest checkpoints in all of Overwatch to unlock, and they've almost unlocked it in under a minute's time here. A really good first push, and guess what? A contest right at the end, 0.11 meters away. Reach Cyber losing Chef Robbie on the backside of the fight, but it's a trade for Arti. So Central Bucks South, now no payload to work off of.
No payload to work off of, and they will be a little further away off of this spawn as well. So Reach Cyber has the ability to play a little more aggressive. You step forward, meet with that early resistance, and you help burn some of this time. And just as much as you were talking about how quick they had pushed it close to the finish line, now they got to get it over it.
Connor Zombie has that nano first, and it's going to be a snipe onto Arti. The 1v1s are working out in the favor of Reach Cyber, even though Chef Robbie's going to be anti. Or just play some small ball. Low game, right in their face, ready to go with 3 ultimates to try and answer this. Frenchette has an ultimate of their own. Here comes the ultimate from Armin, changing the melody into the backline with those bouncing shots, continuing to get the ricochets. Now Quickster, they've got the answer. Up into the air they go as Central Bucks South tries to fight.
Find this next pick. That's going to be the question. Mega up in the sky, applying some big pressure off of the back of the ult, and we'll be able to find a couple there. 3 players gonna fall, 2 of them off of the back of the ult from Mega. That's a big stop here from Reach Cyber.
Massive override protocol. Those heavy rounds so devastatingly juicy on the amount of damage that they could do. Central Bucks South, though, they've got 4 ultimates up and coming. And once Arti and Braden hit a few more shots, they should be ready to go to flood this one. But they need this fight to work. With only 60 seconds left to go, they're going to have to press all their buttons. Arti, Braden, they've got it unlocked, and here we go. Everybody's pressing them. It's a nanoed override protocol, and Arti is just demolishing the health bars. There goes your support line. The healing is gone. It will be Chef Robbie to try and fight the 1v1, but Central Bucks South just has the numbers.
And it will be Armin that falls next, and whenever the tank falls, the rest of the team generally has to fall right back to concede that additional space. They're trying to at least find a touch to prevent this point from being unlocked, but eventually it will get across that end line. Unlocks more time as we're up to 3 minutes.
That's the hardest point to get. Now you can try and fight through the warehouse here and try and get some extra time to keep the push going. Again, Reach Cyber, as a reminder, will still get their chance on their offensive side after we flip things through. If either they stop or if Central Bucks South get the full push all the way to the end. Frenchette has the ultimate to try and go with the Kitsune Rush, but Reach Cyber has some answers.
Cyber still able to stay up on their feet. least as far as for now. Oh, it's a nice push up into the high ground, though, and can they keep themselves standing comes the question. Arti up to the sky they go, taken out by Armin, who's been able to find a pair, one of which was Quickster, and now Central Buck South starting to run out of time.
This is the problem. The longer you go, the longer you stay. It feels like the time just starts to melt away. And for this on-run from Chef Robbie has been doing enough. The Vermilion Ascent to be able to put the pressure on the backline in that last fight was far and away enough. Now, Central Buck South is going to be able to hit the ultimate early. Oh my goodness! Arti is just going on a tear. A double kill. Where did the DPS line go? That's a magician's trick.
Oh, you also have the Quickster who has their ult available. I thought maybe was going to just solo it onto the front line just to simply keep them away. Instead, solo ults a back line, and Connor Zombie will be removed.
Arti's in a great spot. The slicer, the dicer, trying to make everything nicer as the hold on the top line. They'll switch back to Braden over on the soldier and is just 25% away from that visor to keep things going. This warehouse push, though, still has to be successful, and Reach Cyber will get their chance, get their light of day to try and fight it right here.
A nice job with Arti as well as Quickster pushing into the high ground. They'll be able to find one, but the rest of Reach Cyber have been able to push onto the point behind them. Mega falls, Connor falls, as does Loch Nessie, and that should allow for the rest of the team fight to wrap on up. And while maybe they were close to preventing that second point from being unlocked, it ends up unlocked nonetheless. Now it's 2 minutes left.
This one an even tougher point to push through, but every single meter that Central Buck South gains here makes it so much tougher for Reach Cyber to answer. A complete swap of 2 on the composition. Armin wants to bring the Winston. Available after being banned away in both of our first 2 maps. Mega swapping over to the Ash to provide them some long range as well.
Oh, I love me some Winston action. Let him go crazy off of the back of the ult and maybe find a way to bring this push to a halt. Here's Arti looking for the swing to find an opening. Will be able to stay up on their feet. They have their ult available. Do they pop it here is the question.
Oh yeah, Override Protocol is coming. Those heavy rounds ripping through the backline, and that Tree of Life tries to deny the aerial look, but it will not. It's a nanoed frontline. Quickster low, but Arti is the GOAT for the entry. Fights themselves 2 for the price of 1, and Reach Cyber once again just doesn't have the players to fight it. Sure, fisticuffs against Arti will keep the fight alive, but that payload is soaring through the distance meters.
Problem is, once the payload gets to this bridge, if you're CB South, you pretty well have to full push from here, because if you lose the control of it, there's probably no chance in fighting back inside of the gates, getting the control, and finishing the push itself. Braden will look for the swing on the bottom side. Not quite going to find the opening they're looking for. And with Frenchette, hopping pancakes, and Arti all gone, this could very well spell the end of this push.
What a Vermilion Ascent. It ends up being a quadra kill from Chef Robbie at the end of the day. And Central Buck South will get 10 seconds to try and fight this one back. They've got the Quickster's ultimate, but nobody checked for the Winston. It's the monkey from the backline that could disrupt everything, but that's actually a disrupted fight. Sure, Armin is going to get some damage, but they've already lost Mega. It's the setup. It's the Kitsune Rush. It's Reach Cyber trying to plant their flag in the ground and stake this as theirs, but they've only got Armin, just a jumping monkey doing tricks, while Central Buck South is taking the real fight, taking the castle, and taking this overtime by storm. IHOP Pancake's gonna drop on the backside of this one as well, and it's a contest. You've got to get them off the payload.
Find a way. You are going to be able to take Armin down, and once the big boy falls, the rest of the dominoes generally seem to fall in similar fashion, but the Bob will look to hold the line. Is there a chance that the Bob can do enough?
Mina's already swapping over, and it is complete. It is an unsuccessful attacking side by maybe just a few meters. A C9 from Central Buck South. We already had one of them, so why not have another?
That was interesting. It looked like there was at least that one player that was close enough for a touch, but I guess the game says otherwise. And that is incredibly frustrating if you're CB South to push it that far, just to simply push it that far. It is tough to get it much closer than that, so maybe a little bit of hopium to be able to hold on to if you are the Titans, but for now, it's up to Reach Cyber to try and see if they can push it the distance.
They'll have to fight through some rigor here to earn themselves a map victory. You basically got to pull it all the way the full distance. The good news is we're not going to overtime, so we will find this one in regulation. Somebody is putting themselves on series points. Somebody is getting themselves one step away from punching their ticket to the championship directly after this matchup.
Penn Manor lies in wait with their perception of what they hope to get back to raising state championship titles, but we have seen already here today where the team that wraps up with their semifinals matchup last sometimes has been able to carry that momentum to be able to pull off the upset. It would definitely be an upset whether it is Reach Cyber or CB South that would eventually end up taking down Penn Manor. We can't get ahead of ourselves. There's still a semifinals to figure out.
Somebody's got to win this one, and somebody has to go home. So close. We've talked about Central Buck South. Sort of their struggles to close out here on this weekend, but for how many teams they sent, already an impressive feat. Brayden is going to switch over, by the way, to Mr. Bastion. There is no cat to combo it, but this is a lot of early damage and so good at just ripping through the tanks. The problem is Bastion very immobile, not from the high ground and sent back to the cars. Squeaking away is the Quickster, who will die first, and without that frontline tank, you're just gonna get dope. You've got no protection for your Bastion, who dies second, and everybody else is gonna fall after.
Especially with the Winston, go crazy here as they'll push forward and they'll be able to wrap up that fight. You mentioned how the first checkpoint tends to be the hardest. Here on Havana, well, they're already almost to that first checkpoint, and there is still 2 minutes and 50 seconds left. Armin will play from the left side of their screen, and if they push across, could very well find an opening in the back line, pushes up through the window, and that's the opening they were looking for.
Really good fight here as they focus not only the back line but the front line as well. This is just a 3v3, and Quickster in the neutral game is unmatched. Chef Robbie's gonna Vermilion Revival to try and get their body back on the line. That's good enough for some damage. Robbie with the revive gets the takedown, and Armin a jumping lurk. 5 minutes of time here for Reach Cyber to close out the map.
It's a whole lot of time here, especially with that first checkpoint being the hardest. We had seen the Titans be able to pretty well cruise through this middle third of the map when they were on the attacking side, but due to the fact that they unfortunately surrendered that first checkpoint a little early, this is going to be where their defense has to try and make time.
This is one of the toughest ones to defend here in the distillery. If you don't fight good enough on the high-low ground, you can quickly get over-encumbered by players attacking you from multiple different angles. 3 ultimates available is the one recourse that Central Buck South has. The problem is the jumping damage is so good. Chef Robbie a bit too far forward. They're going to get the damage there, though, and Mega has found the double. The 1v1 between Arti and Mega has been phenomenal to watch as they pop the Winston on and rip through the back line.
Already taken down. Frenchette will be the next to fall as well. One less support makes the rest of this fight a little tough as it's low on HP as the Quickster. They fall here as well, and they're already more than halfway through the second checkpoint as they continue to build momentum.
The tough part about that fight, too, was Central Buck South had 5 ultimates at the start, had 5 ultimates at the end, but just could not find a good time to invest. They thought it was an overinvestment. Instead, they are left with just burning ultimate percentage because they have so many of them. Nanoed Arti. Yeah, this should end the fight unless Mega can snipe him out. Brayden's going to find some damage on a Chef Robbie here. It's a 5v4. There's just so much damage in that override protocol nanoed away. You never stood a chance, Reach Cyber.
I see your ult, and I'll return with mine, says Arti, and they will be the one who's able to stay on their feet here as well. 2 minutes and 45 seconds-ish as they look to try and finish this thing across, but Unfortunate for them, CB South, they have been able to at least bring things to a halt. Let's see how long they can hold it here.
RC holding off here. It's Arti and the rest of the crew that need to stay alive. Again, there's so many different angles to enter from in this distillery. A litany of choices to make. For Reach Cyber, they've got to make the correct one with 2 minutes to go. Jumping 1 for 1 on the Sigma is not going to work, and Armin is just going to get blown up before they even get a chance to pop their bubble. Quickster low as well. It's tank for tank trade.
Whose damage is going to be able to come out on top here. Armin will technically have to come back from a further respawn away. Is that maybe enough of a difference for CB South to continue to hold the line? Connor Zombie and Chef Robbie both gonna fall. Loch Nessie in the threat of falling as well. And as much as Reach Cyber was able to build up some momentum early, they have not been able to get back to this push point here in the last 2 team fights.
What are you up to?
And part of that is because some real heroics from not only Arti in that previous one, but Braid in that last team fight. That artillery formation is sometimes one of the hardest ultimates to time correctly. Got it perfectly. Arti, speaking of them, once again coming up absolutely clutch at the start of the fight. Loch Nessie is dead. This fight is over, and Reach Cyber have to regroup. They've only got 2 more cracks at this.
It would be really tough if this is where they end up falling. You had mentioned how this one generally seems to be a little bit easier on this middle third, but man, oh man, since they have lost control of the cart, they have been unable to get full possession of it. Mega already running the risk of potentially falling here. Braden will pop that turret formidable spray across the way.
Awesome, great damage on Chef Robbie. Actually forces out the early sound barrier. Is it enough to follow up? Kitsune Rush, it's very little investment here from Frenchette. Do they want to try and follow it up? They try and nano the Quickster, who is going to have to go absolutely critical in this fight. But it looks like the Quickster's damage is not enough on the Sigma. Will stay alive for 1 kill, but eventually will be burned down. Reach Cyber, it's the fight they needed at the exact time that they wanted. And I don't know that Central Bucks is going to go for the contest here.
I don't think you want to, right? You don't want to stagger things out, and it's not going to be too much time that ends up being added. 102 seconds from here, and we do know that this uphill climb can be quite challenging.
With a player like Arti, my goodness, the fire rate from this Emery, beautiful. Has to recharge the nade, only 3 seconds away from getting another charge, but just isolate Chef Robbie, delivers the first kill of the fight, and once again, staggers away Reach Cyber. You don't want to overinvest on ultimates, though, in case they try and overwhelm you with a late push.
70 seconds here. Ult gonna be popped from Mega. We've seen Arti respond with their ult in their own right a couple of times, but it doesn't look like that is going to be the call here. However, Arti, Braden, and Trickster all have their ults available. Quickster will look to pull the trigger on there, and they find a couple.
Oh, Mega, the start of the fight was so beautiful for them, but they forget about the payload, and Quickster has their MVP moment. It's going to be Armin who tries to pop the ultimate, but is far and away too late. Look at the 2 DPS ultimates that are coming back from Arti and Braden. It's a goal line stand, 1 fight to try and decide this map.
Haven't quite pushed it far enough, have Reached Cyber, of course. That payload hasn't stopped moving yet. They're up to 80 meters, 15 meters left. If they're wanting to put themselves onto series point, it will be the Primal Rage that gets popped. Or no, it didn't get popped. It looked like they were just looking to get aggressive, but it's not going to be enough. 3 players fall from Central Bucks South, and once Quickster falls, that should allow for them to push this thing across the goal line and Reach Cyber come out on top.
They are the first ones to series point. They moved to 2 here. It was a duel that was decided by literal single team fights. Isolated moments, and talk about Mega here, earning themselves the play of the game. This one goes down as the game-winning moment. A double kill, finds the nade, and then follows it up with a long-range damage and a triple kill in tow. Reach Cyber, they are flawless so far on payload modes, and they're up 2-1 in the series.
Mentioned how close this Reach Cyber squad has been in previous years Well, they're now one map away from getting a chance in that grand finals against Penn Manor. And I mean, talk about how close the CB South squad has been in so many series today. I feel like this just might be the final string when it comes to heartbreaks if they drop this here.
I don't think I could take it, man. But at the same time, you recognize for Central Bucks South just the incredible nature of the school to be able to send so many teams over towards these championships is already so impressive. But I want to see more from them. And I think that you look at, again, the final 3 teams that are left in our playoff bracket, they only had 1 regular season series loss combined between the 3 of them over 18 different series. They only lost 3 maps in total between all of them. So impressive is an understatement of what they've been able to provide. We knew they were going to butt heads here in the playoffs, and especially later in the playoffs in the semifinals. The problem is, there are no more excuses now, and for Reach Cyber, you have a chance to close it out in a 3-1, in a gentleman's sort of sweep.
Well, now the question becomes, over on that Central Bucks South side, where do we go? We had mentioned that earlier when Reach Cyber dropped map number 1, that they probably weren't going to want to try and respond from a control loss over to Flashpoint. So does that mean that we're off to a push map? Well, doesn't look like it. Looks like Flashpoint will indeed be the call as we're off to Savasa.
I like it. I think as well for Central Bucks South, you look at what succeeded, right? What won you? The simple thing is map number 1 was a overall domination style mode. And that's exactly what Flashpoint is, just faster. And I would argue that Central Bucks South, had we been playing on Flashpoint on map number 1, would have won even a little bit cleaner. But now you're on the factor that this is a must win. And here's the bigger problem. Let's even say Central Bucks South wins this map number 4. Reach Cyber gets to pick any map, any mode, anywhere they want to go for that final map.
Well, other than the maps that have already been picked, but the mode itself, they do get free pickings on, which means, everything is on the table. So still got that nice little ace in the hole for sure, but we talk about it all the time. When you're on that map that's before the decider, if you're the team that has the lead in the series, you have to finish it here. And especially for a Reach Cyber squad who knows what it's like to get this close just to still see somebody else hoist the trophy, you got to lock it in on map 4.
It's got to be emotional. I mean, for these 2 teams, we've said it even for us. I know it's tough. It's an exciting day today, but after this is the end of the season. This is states. This is the grand pinnacle that everybody has been grinding for an entire year to lift the trophy and train for. And again, for most of these teams, you're talking about players graduating and moving on.
CB South is one of those. I think if my memory serves me right from their Overwatch team last year, I think they've got 3, maybe 4 seniors. So they are a team that, we mentioned has gotten close in the past. This is their last go around for at least this iteration of the squad.
And so we talk about some players moving on as well to some of our other programs. We were talking about Mount Aloysius. If you guys are looking for a place to play esports, they are one of the best. They've got a great esports facility. If you haven't seen it in person or played in it in person, it's phenomenal. They've got great coaching staff and even better academics to go alongside it.
Yeah, they've definitely got a great program over there. Coach Steffi, full of passion, and we've been seeing them building up that program over the course of the last couple of years. I think the big title that really stands out to me this past year was their Rocket League squad that started making a little bit of waves even at the highest of levels in CRL. And we know they've been continuing to look to try and add to their rosters, them along with a couple of our partners here in Pennsylvania for PIA. So whether your student is currently competing or maybe you're considering it, as of lately, esports has been opening up just the same sort of opportunities as traditional sports when it comes to continuing your education and getting some assistance to do so. But let's go ahead and get ready to take off to Servasa and see what 4 heroes are going to be banned.
Be interesting to see. This could be make or break decisions, as the first one taken off the board is the Ramatra. So Central Bucks South will get their chance to go back-to-back in bans. There's a lot to take off the table, but the question is going to be what it is. D.Va, I think, is smart. It caused them a lot of issues in those first couple maps.
Yeah, I think D.Va, with the problems that it has been causing, it definitely makes a lot of sense for them here. You mentioned now you do get that back-to-back ban if you are the second one to pick your bans, and well, there's going to be another one that does get taken off the table. It's another one that we have seen banned a couple of times already, so I can't say that I'm surprised.
It's kind of interesting, though. Again, it's this Baptiste that I know has been causing problems around the scene. I know has caused them problems in the past. But at the same time, I guess they're valuing that more than something that has caused them issues here in this series. So the exact same bans we will face as we faced in that last map. It worked out for each Cyber. We'll see if it does here again. One more chance to try and send it off to map number 5. There are no second chances in this state's playoff bracket. It is unrelenting, but so are these two teams.
Now or never, that's for sure. If you're Central Bucks South, and I mean, surely they would like to at least hoist a trophy. You didn't want to send 3 teams and fall short 3 separate times, but sometimes that's just the way the cookie crumbles. We'll see just how fast these points do go by here on Servasa as we get ready to take to the server.
It's a must win from Central Bucks South, and they are going to bring back the Bastion. I think it provided a lot of consistent damage, but it's something without that frontline Sigma, you are risking as a very immobile carry to try and put your trust in. The Quickster is going to bring the horse to this one, as it's a difference of supports. The biggest difference is going to be that Juno, not only to help provide some damage, but the speed from that speedy ring.
So now twice that we've seen the Bastion come into play. No Jetpack Cat to be able to help carry it around the map. Armin breaking out the Winston. I feel like we saw them see some level of success when they were able to bring him out. Let's see if they can continue to find it here. We'll be able to push forward and almost finds that first pick.
It is a really good start here from the damage side of Brayden. I want to see it backed up by just a little bit more. The cohesion, like we talk about in a team that's needed. Central Bucks South actually just gets the first touch by forcing away Reach Cyber Charter to the outskirts of this point. And now all of a sudden, the Quickster is getting so much value, will destroy that pedal platform too.
Bucks South already up to a quarter of the percentage here on map number 1. They call it Flashpoint for a reason. They do go by quick, fast, and in a hurry, which means the Rockets have to find a way to start taking down some of these Titans. IHOP and Pancakes will be the first to fall, and with a little bit less support, you have to be careful if you are the Titans.
Will be an interesting look from Reach Cyber on the re-entry because, again, Mega is not playing this Emery. You're playing the Casty, which is very much about the long-range sharpshooter burst, and Arti is playing the Emery, which is providing so much damage output. You have that nade to match, and the Quickster is just winning themselves 1v1s. This is a domination of point number 1 from Central Bucks South.
It has been a real flex of control here on this first point, as while they might have lost one, they never actually surrendered the point itself. So first point going to go up on the board over on that Central Bucks side. Now, that will give the Rockets a little bit better spawn when it comes to approaching this second point. Let's see if maybe they can capitalize and get there first.
I wonder if the question, though, is going to be, where do we save these ultimates for? Because Central Bucks South, again, is going to burn down some of their ultimate percentage, but Flashpoint goes by so quickly that you can afford to just throw out an ult or two, especially Artie's that comes back so quickly if you're becoming accurate. The Quickster, by the way, just continues to have a monumental game here, winning 1v1s against the DPS. Chef Robbie has to get in your face, and they're taking full advantage of that. The problem is they have no supports, and Armin is going to jump in, kill Brayden, and the Quickster is left all to their lonesome here. Even though they get first touch, Central Bucks South will not be touching this one for much longer.
Armament Rage pushes through. Quickster now looks to pop their ult with the Terra Surge, but is not going to be able to find any sort of value off of the back of that one. Quickster will be able to stay on their feet. That's at least the good news here for the Titans. especially as they are still technically in the lead on the second point as well, as they've just recapped with it.
Yeah, they don't waste a single beat. They get themselves right back in. That Terror Surge delays for enough time to get the rest of the team funneled in. And we are back to the stalemate, the neutral game here between these two teams with so much available in terms of the ultimate side of things. It's actually the Tree of Life forced very early and forced for nothing. The orbital laser gets Arti the double kill, the boost of damage, and Central Book South is having themselves a complete map right here.
This is what they're hoping for on a map number 4, where you can still turn the tides and pick up the momentum before you do go into that decider. We did mention, however, that if Central Buck South does win this map number 4 and force a game number 5, Reach Cyber will have the choice as far as which direction we go. Ult's gonna get popped here by Mega, but they're gonna get put down relatively quickly. Can't find much off the back of that.
Chef Robbie tried to bake them on the backline, but instead was buttered up themselves. Brayden just forces them in, uses the Terror Surge to get some extra damage. This is a 2-for-2 trade, but I would favor this one to the Quickster, who continues to win, continues to lead, and continues to stay alive. Here comes the overdrive, right to the backline with those heavy rounds to force them off at this point. There it is. They C9 him again, and the protocol earns them a point number 2.
One more point's all they need to go off to a decider. And for the Titans, all you want is to have yourself a chance. It will be Armin and Connor Zombie that will eventually fall. And now it will be the squad of Central Buck South that'll look to get up onto their feet and head on over to this next flashpoint quick, fast, and in a hurry.
This would be a statement. If Central Buck South could find this next point, find themselves a sweep of map number 4 on their own selection. Of course, Reach Cyber would still get to choose where we get to go, but a one-map decider would reminisce back to the early ages of today. Armin is going to make sure it doesn't go there just yet. Pops that rage, gets Brayden dead, and IHOP Pancakes is next to follow. A double kill from the Monkey.
Oh, Rage still looking to get aggressive here. Chef Roby, oh, they're in danger, and they will end up falling. Armin and Mega both find one to their names, and one of those ends up being the support. So a little bit tougher to be able to hold the line, but it is the Rockets that do still have the control of the point. They're climbing up over that 20%.
They need to hold, though. This is a point scenario where they need to go 3 flashpoints straight. Great snipe, by the way, from Connor Zombie. The kunai finds a lonely head of Brayden and starts out the fight without a Bastion. That's not a way to do it. From Central Buck South, they still have Arti, who has been far and away one of the best members on this team, leading from the front. And we talk about Arti's skill discipline on multiple titles here. Quickster, by the way, still just winning 1v1s for free. I don't know who gave this Orisa that much space.
They running the risk of allowing Reach Cyber back into it, though, as they're climbing up towards that 80% here. As Armin will look to duck back and will be able to pick up that little bit of a health pack. I'm not sure how much of that was necessary, but the rest of their team's on the other side of the map, so they'll look to try and regroup. The good news is, as long as you win this next team fight, you're still going to be able to cap this first point here in map number 4, or for the third sub-map.
It's a must cap, though. And for Central Buck South, they've got 3 ultimates to try and deny it here. You watch for the Terror Surge. That is a big one to try and zone them away. Here comes the Orbital Laser. That means fight. Quickster is probably going to die before they get the ultimate off here. And the Kitsune Rush will go off before Connor Zombie dies too. It's a 1-for-1. But realistically, with Armin still alive here, it should just be a spray down for Reach Cyber. Instead, Arti's got another protocol ripping through the back line. Even with a monkey in the face, is able to find some good damage, but Reach Cyber finally finished. Armin goes heroic, finds a triple kill, and the Rockets should score here.
I'll give them their first point, gets them onto the board, and now this 4th flashpoint will unlock in about 30 seconds. And this could be a big one, because for momentum's sake, if Reach Cyber are able to go back-to-back, they could very well be looking to wrap things up here on Servasa.
And then there's that outside chance that Reach Cyber don't even need to go that final map, to go straight away. Quickster is going to take down Mega, great little 1-for-1 here, and Central Bucks, a good eyesight looks as they find another kill for Quickster, who again continues to succeed here on this Orisa. They should have a touch for absolutely free.
They will at least get the capture over on this CB South side. Can you push this and carry it across the finish line if you're the Titans? And indeed, force a map number 5. You figure with as quick as these points do count and tick their way on up, as long as you can hold the line for 2 fights, that should be it.
Armina's gonna switch over to the big muscle man. Lock Desi will give them the extra HP to work off of, and Braden's ultimate actually flies by the wayside. It's Reach Cyber with the re-entry of incredible nature as Armin forces 2 catastrophes in the backline, and Frenchet gets the ultimate off before Armin takes down the support line as well. It is a tank v tank battle, and we are just living in their world.
It's tough. Quickster and Frenchet both popping their ults, neither of which really finding much value off of the back of. Meanwhile, Mega already has theirs available. You can also get Armin's available here relatively soon. Just as much as it looked like Central Buck South was looking to extend things into a map number 5. We talked about the scary word momentum. It seems to be compounding down on that Rocket side of the server.
Mega's going to be the predator here. Who will be their prey? The effort, the compounding nature, and the mathematics all feeling like it's going Reach Cyber's way. The Central Bucks have an equation that can try and change things up. Oh no, Braden is the first to get the kill, but it's going to be a complete disaster of a fight. It is the high ground take, and Reach Cyber completely dismantling their angles. They might just score here again.
As I say, with them already at 80%, Central Buck South is going to have to double time it just to get a simple touch onto this point, which means they might not get a full 5v5 fight. So that does mean, yeah, actually not even going to worry about pushing onto it itself. That second point will indeed be down to Reach Cyber, which means it all now comes down to this.
They are the ones that now hold the pen of their story. Reach Cyber trying to finish this series out, send themselves to the championship. As Central Buck South, they've fought all day, but they need to win the final flashpoint on this map. A cage fight is available for Armin, and look at this backside flag. They have multiple different angles. It's a good look, and they get that cage fight combined with the early Kitsune rush. Arti is going to try and blow them open, but the damage is far from enough. Sure, you get the 1-for-1, but the damage follow-up is so good. Armin finds an extra, and without your Kitsune rush in the backline, it's going to be a lone artillery form to try and hoist them off of the point. It'll work. The Terra Surge forces them out, and Armin's support line is dead.
Oh, Armin all by themselves here and surrounded. Going to be able to at least take down the Bastion, but will eventually be taken down by the Orisa. Now Central Buck South, they've got control of this 5th point. They're already a 5th of the way there. There's probably only 2 more fights left if you Reach Cyber.
If that, I mean, you look at the ultimates that are left available too, it is just the Vermilion Ascent / Revival. What can Chef Robbie do? Well, Mega's gonna do nothing. What is the Quickster up to? Again, shades of early in this map, finds the 1v1, gets the headshot on the spear, and all of a sudden, Reach Cyber, do they delay, or do they risk a stagger here? Chef Robbie trying to find the close range damage. Instead, it's Central Buck South just holding them.
75%. All you have to do is keep them off of the point. Make sure that the Rockets do not get the control. However, Braden will be the first to fall. Mega and Loch Nessie will be responded with by being put down in their own right. The question is that enough?
The Terra Surge into the Fortify. The Quickster does not stay alive long enough here. You get 99%, but everybody else is falling around you. Armin, it's a triple kill, sending Frenchet off the edge. And now we get to brass tacks.
There is no way, right? You get Central Buck South and 99 on map number 4, trying to force a map number 5. Is this where the Rockets hold the line? That would be absolutely insane, especially with the fact that they've got now 4 ults available, and Connor Zombies will have theirs in just a moment.
no ultimates available from Central Buck South. They need to win a fight, but they've got to force out the ultimates here in this one. It's just going to be that override protocol to start. Now it's going to be Connor Zombie popping the Kitsune. It's actually a backside look on the Kitsune that'll allow Armin to just go in. Fredjet is dead. Oh, it's the fireball into the backline here.
No way.
Central Buck South is falling. It's an artillery form, but it's panicked. It's losing. It's another ultimate coming through from Loch Nessie, and Armin just sent Reach Cyber Charter to the championship.
Oh, they tried so hard and got so far, but unfortunately, in the end, it just doesn't even matter for Central Buck South. They get stopped on the goal line yet again here in our semifinals, and it will indeed be Reach Cyber who comes out on top, and I can't say that I'm too surprised as it's Armin with the play of the game.
My series MVP for sure. I mean, this ultimate right here just goes to show not only the cohesion. You talk about how the rest of the team funneled them into that corridor, and then Armin was just able to go crazy on a diving Winston. Only died 3 times that entire map. 15,000 damage, more than any of his DPSs by his side too. And that is how Reach Cyber Charter does it. The gentleman sweep is enough. And Central Buck South, once again, so close, but yet so far.
This is where we point out that on the maps they did well. They were banning Winston. Kind of tough to point out. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you can only ban so many heroes, right? And we had seen from Reach Cyber, they honestly showed quite a depth when it came to their hero pool that really at the end of the day, there's only so many that you can take off the board. So big congratulations to them. Heartbreaking for CB South, because again, we have seen them in 3 separate semifinals, twice falling there, once falling in the grand finals, and I believe that ends their... No, it doesn't end their day for CB South. They do have still, what, the D3? D2 Valorant. So they still have a chance for at least a state championship.
And I think, again, although it's heartbreaking they don't get to lift any of those trophies, I think you go back to what they've been able to accomplish across this year. And if you're a player inside of the Central Buck School District, either one of the schools, it feels like they are just creating the next generation of the best. And for this team, this is still a relatively young team that is still going to get chances to grow over the course of the next couple years. For them to see so many of their teams here at LAN has got to be kind of like proud teacher, proud parent moment to get them all the way out here.
Definitely, for sure. So we'll be keeping an eye on that D2 matchup, as that will be on PIA 02. Might be getting switched to PIA 01, so don't hold me to that. But we will still have to figure out who's going to be crowned our Division 1 Overwatch champion. We had mentioned that the winner of that last series would be squaring off against Penn Manor. Well, that matchup's going to be next. It's going to be a best of 5, first to 3, whatever you want to call it. And I'm looking down at the time. I know it's already 7:30, so we're going to try and speed things up as quick as possible to set the stage for our last championship of the day over here on the Esports Company Twitch channel. Don't go nowhere. We'll be right back.